Session we are going to discuss about pancreas. So pancreas is an elongated yellowish gland which lies below the stomach in the loop of duodenum. As you can see here, it is a elongated gland, yellow color gland, and this part here is a duodenum. Okay, what is duodenum? Duodenum is the initial part of small intestine. Here duodenum is a connection between the stomach and small intestine. So here you can see a seed curve like structure. Okay, this curve like structure is called as loop, and here the pancreas is adjusted or situated in that loop of this duodenum. And pancreas is divided into three regions or three parts. Okay, that is head, neck and tail. Here, which is situated in the loop of duodenum, this part is a head part, and then the middle part is a neck region, and the end part, which is the elongated part, it is a tail region. So pancreas is made up of head, neck and tail, and the length of the pancreas is about 6 inches in adult human, approximately 6 to 7.5 inches in adult humans. It varies between male and female. In males, the pancreas are little bit comparatively larger than in females. And this head region is situated towards the right side of the abdomen, and the tail region is situated towards the left side of the abdomen. So which part does this pancreas belong to in our body? Here you can see the pancreas, which is situated below the stomach. Okay, it belongs to both digestive system and endocrine system. So that is why pancreas is said to be a heterocrine gland or a composite gland. Hetero in the sense it acts as both. Okay, it acts as more than one function. So that is why it is called as heterocrine gland. So here it is said to be heterocrine gland because it acts as endocrine gland and also as a exocrine gland. As you all know the difference between endocrine gland and exocrine gland. In endocrine gland, the hormones which are produced are directly released into the bloodstream. And in case of exocrine glands, the chemicals which are produced are not released into the bloodstream. Instead, they are released directly into the cells. And the pancreas was identified by a Greek anatomist named Herophilus, and the name was given by another Greek anatomist called Rufus after 100 years of discovery of pancreas by Herophilus. So here in this image you can clearly see how this pancreas is situated behind the stomach. Okay, and here the gallbladder and the pancreas they both are connected to a single duct which then enter into the duodenum. Now coming to the structure of pancreas, it consists of small group of specialized cells called islets of Langerhans. See here, if you take any small part of pancreas, okay, and if you see this in a microscopic view, this is a specialized structure of cell which is called as islets of Langerhans. Why it is called as islets of Langerhans? As you all know, islands, okay, they are situated in the center of the oceans here and there. Okay, in the same way, these specialized cells are present in the pancreas. Okay, they are spreaded all over the pancreas. So that is why they are called as islets of Langerhans. And this islets of Langerhans was named about the scientist who discovered these islets of Langerhans. So it was discovered by a scientist named Paul Langerhans. That is why it was given the name as islets of Langerhans. In the year 1869, there are about 1 to 2 millions of islets of Langerhans in a normal human, which covers only 1 to 2% of total pancreatic cells. That means the total number of isolates of Langerhans, that is 1 to 2 million cells of Langerhans, it covers only 1 to 2% of total pancreatic cells or tissues. So here you can clearly see the isolates of Langerhans. Okay, here these are isolates of Langerhans. So these are about millions of cells in pancreas, which are present in millions. Okay, about 1 to 2 millions. The pancreas is actually made up of different types of cells like alpha cell, beta cell, gamma cell, and delta cell and F cell. Remember, these three are additional, which are not in your syllabus. So if you are preparing for the theory, then you should remember this both alpha and beta cells, which are produced by isolates of Langerhans. So here I am representing these three types of cells, gamma, delta and F cell, in a different color because they are not in your syllabus, but they are important if you are preparing for the NEET part. So here in isolates of Langerhans, alpha cells produces a hormone called glucagon and beta cells produce a hormone called insulin. And here these both hormones, glucagon as well as insulin, are antagonistic in nature. That means the function of glucagon and insulin are opposite to each other. To explain it in a simple way, glucagon increases blood sugar level and insulin decreases blood sugar level. This you have to remember. Okay, this glucagon and insulin, they act opposite to each other. When glucagon is released in the blood, it helps in increasing the blood sugar level, and when hormone insulin is released, it helps in decrease of blood sugar level. So now we'll get to know the function of glucagon and insulin in brief. So here consider this as a blood vessel, and these dots which are given, okay, those are glucose level in blood. So here this represents the low glucose level. That means a low sugar level in the blood. Okay, when there is low sugar level in the blood, what happens? That message is given to pancreas here. So here when there is low blood glucose level, that message is given to pancreas, and this pancreas through their alpha cells, okay, through their alpha cells, it releases the hormone glucagon. It releases the hormone glucagon. And what these glucagons will do, they will act upon the liver, particularly hepatocytes, the cells of the liver. And this liver start releasing glucose molecules into the blood. And when these glucose molecules are dissolved in the blood, then the blood sugar level will be increased. And when it reaches to the normal blood glucose level, what happens? Then that message will be sent again to pancreas. Okay, when it reaches to the normal, that message is sent to pancreas, so that the pancreas will stop producing glucagon. When there is no glucagon again, it will not act upon the liver cells, and the liver cells will stop producing glucose. Okay, so this is how the glucagon regulate the blood sugar level. So I think here you understood the concept. When there is low blood sugar level in our body, what happens? That message will be sent to pancreas, and pancreas through alpha cells produce glucagon hormone, and those glucagon will act upon the liver, and this liver will release the stored glucose molecules into the bloodstream, and then there will be increase in the blood sugar level, which attains to the normal blood glucose level. Okay, in the same way, the insulin will act exactly opposite to the glucagon. Okay, so here you can see when there is high blood sugar level, okay, when there is excess amount of glucose in blood sugar, what happens, that message is again sent to pancreas, and pancreas through the beta cells, okay, through the beta cells it will start producing or secreting insulin. Understand this? When there is high glucose level, then that message will be sent to pancreas, and the pancreas through the beta cells it will produce insulin, and this insulin will act upon the fat cells in our body, that is in adipose tissue where the excess sugar is stored. Okay, it will give a signal to the cells of our body, the fat cells of our body or adipose tissue of our body, the cells of our body. Then what happens, these cells will start utilizing the glucose which is present in the blood. Okay, the cells will start consuming the glucose which is present in the blood, and then what happens, when more and more glucose which is present in the bloodstream which is consumed by the cells, and then immediately the blood sugar level decreases. Okay, as the glucose which is produced is being utilized by the cells, and then in the bloodstream, okay, in the bloodstream the glucose level decreases and which attains to the normal glucose level. And then what happens, when it reaches to the normal glucose level, and that message will be sent to pancreas, and pancreas will stop producing insulin. So here glucagon is also called as hyperglycemia hormone. Remember this, glucagon is also called as hyperglycemia hormone, that means which stimulates the process of gluconeogenesis. So here remember this, gluconeogenesis is a process of formation of glucose from non-carbohydrates so it means gluconeogenesis is nothing but formation of glucose. When there is excess formation of glucose through a hormone glucagon, okay, it increases the blood sugar level. So that is why glucagon is also called as hyperglycemia hormone. Other than gluconeogenesis, this glucagon also reduces glycogenesis. Remember this, glucagon reduces glycogenesis and increases gluconeogenesis. These two are the important points which you have to remember. Gluconeogenesis is the formation of glucose through non-carbohydrates, and glycogenesis, so remember, glycogenesis is a formation of glycogen. Okay, glycogenesis is a formation of glycogen. So what happens, this glycogen is nothing but a primary carbohydrate which is made up of group of glucose. A large number of glucose molecules together form a glycogen, and this glycogen is stored in liver and muscles. Okay, so this process happens when there is a high amount of glucose level in the blood. When there is high amount of glucose level in the blood, what happens, that will be converted into a glycogen and it will be stored in liver and muscles. Okay, so that process is called as glycogenesis, and this hormone, okay, that is glucagon, will reduce this glycogenesis. When there is no formation of glucagon, and when there is no storage of that excess sugar in liver and muscles, what happens, that sugar will be left in blood. Okay, and then it leads to the increase in the blood sugar level. That's why glucagon is also called as hyperglycemia hormone. And glucagon also inhibits the uptake of glucose by cells. So these are the function of glucagon. Now we'll get to know the other functions of insulin. So here, as we already discussed, insulin will help in absorption of glucose from the blood cells from blood to liver and muscles, that is particularly adipose tissue and hepatocytes. So here, if the insulin is produced in excess, okay, what happens if the insulin is produced in excess? What happens? The sugar which is present in the blood, or glucose which is present in the blood, it will be absorbed in a large quantity by this adipose tissue and hepatocytes. Adipose tissue and hepatocytes. When more and more amount of sugar is absorbed by this tissues, what happens? Then there will be a decrease in the blood sugar level, and that leads to a disease called hypoglycemia. So insulin causes hypoglycemia and glucagon causes hyperglycemia. That means glucagon increases the blood sugar level and insulin decreases the blood sugar level. So now we'll discuss about the deficiency disorder of insulin. Okay, when there is a deficiency in the insulin, then what happens? There will be no breakdown of glucose or sugar in the body, and then that glucose will be left in the blood as it goes on for a long time. Okay, that is due to prolonged time, and that leads to hyperglycemia, that is increase in the blood sugar level. When there is increase in the blood sugar level for a long term, then it leads to a disease called diabetes mellitus. Okay, as you all know what is diabetes. There are two types of diabetes: diabetes type 1 and type 2. That we are not going to discuss here. So here just you have to remember is the disease which is caused is diabetes mellitus due to hyperglycemia, due to excess secretion of glucose in blood, or due to insufficient or deficiency of insulin. Okay, here are some symptoms of this disease, that is loss of glucose through urine. Okay, what happens when there is too much of glucose in the blood? Then if it is not used or utilized by the cells of our body, then what happens? That will enter into the kidney through bloodstream, and the kidney will absorb the excess glucose, and that will be excreted out of the body in the form of urine. Okay, so that is why loss of glucose through urine. As you may be knowing that if you want to check a patient is suffering from diabetes, then urine test is done for the diabetic test. And it also leads to the formation of harmful compounds like ketone bodies. That is, these ketone bodies will further lead to kidney stones. And so what is the treatment for this disease, diabetes? Okay, the treatment is insulin therapy. That is, the person has to take the insulin from external source through injection. Okay, when his own body is not in a potential of producing insulin, when his own body is not producing insulin, then the patient has to be treated with insulin from external source. That is, he has to be injected insulin in a regular time intervals. And this diabetes is a non-curable disease, as once the patient is suffering from diabetes, then he has to undergo the insulin therapy for his lifetime. So this is all about pancreas, and we'll go for a summary once again. So as you all got to know the location of the gland, okay, here you can see in this image the location of the gland, where it is present, and the hormones which this gland produces, and the types of cells which are present. Okay, these are alpha cells and beta cells, which you have to remember for your theory exam. Okay, and then the hormones which are produced by alpha cells and beta cells, those are glucagon and insulin. Okay, and then you have to remember this isolates of Langerhans, and how many isolates of Langerhans there are? About 1 to 2 million isolates of Langerhans, that is about 1 to 2% of pancreatic tissue. And then here in this image you can see the sectional view of pancreas. In that particularly you can see here the isolates of Langerhans, and then the beta cells and alpha cells. Then we discussed about the function of glucagon, so how it works, and the function of insulin, how it works in our body. So here are some points which you can note as a short note. So once again, here you can see the function of glucagon. It maintains normal blood sugar level. It acts on liver, okay, especially on hepatocytes, and stimulates glycogenolysis, as we already discussed what is glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis in our previous video also. And it reduces the uptake of glucose from the cells. And here in this slide you can see the functions of insulin, which acts on hepatocytes, and adipocytes, okay, for the uptake of glucose. And then the disease which is caused due to hypoglycemia, that is excess uptake of glucose by cells, which leads to hypoglycemia. Then insulin also stimulates glycogenesis, that is formation of glucose. And then finally we have discussed about the disease which is caused due to deficiency of insulin or due to excess production of glucagon, that is diabetes. And the symptoms of diabetes